Join me as I dive into the challenge of discovering how living with autism can actually help shape a life filled with purpose. As a mom of a child, a late diagnosed autistic child who is in his 30s, I know all about this, and I strive to help him live in his purpose. And let me tell you, living with autism can often be misunderstood. And it's one of the biggest misconceptions that people with autism struggle to find their purpose in their lives. They're smart, they're artistic, they're very creative. They have skills that most of neurotypical people strive to grasp in their lives, because your creativity is what leads and helps lead you into your life purpose. So what if I told you that living with autism can actually be a catalyst for creating a life of purpose, right? With all the creativity that autistic children, and I'm going to say people and adults, because these children grow up to be adults. One of the biggest challenges individuals with autism face is finding their purpose is the lack of understanding and acceptance from society. Many of them, once they tell someone, especially high-level functioning autistic people, once they tell someone that they're autistic, there's a kind of taboo that goes with that. Many people assume that individuals with autism are incapable or of independent living, or that they are only good for specific repetitive tasks. This is not true. This kind of thinking can be incredibly damaging, as it limits opportunities and reinforces negative stereotypes. What if the tables were turned and we said the same thing about neurotypicals, right? No, everyone has the capability. Some of us just require a little bit more understanding and patience than others. Another challenge is the sensory overload that can come with exploring different career paths or hobbies. That's real, and that's real for everyone, but it's real on a different level for those with autism. Trying a new thing can be overwhelming, and it's easy to get discouraged when faced with sensory sensitivities or difficulties with social interactions. So it's hard to imagine how someone can find their purpose when they're just struggling just to cope with everyday experiences that we all have. Additionally, individuals with autism often face unique challenges in finding employment. And it's not that they have trouble finding employment. It's that they have trouble finding employment that aligns with their strengths and passions. The job market can be a tough place for anyone. Let me tell you, been there, done that. But for those with autism, it can be especially daunting. And when you add the pressure of finding a traditional 9-to-5 job on top of it, it's no wonder many people with autism feel like they're stuck or trapped and struggling to find their purpose. So what can we do about this? What is there really to do? As a mom, this is my goal, to help my child find his purpose, right? But what about the stories of people with autism who have defied these challenges and found incredible success and purpose in their lives? There are many out there. Take, for example, Temple Grandin, a renowned author and autism advocate who has used her unique perspective to revolutionize the livestock industry. Or Dan Aykroyd. Did you know he was autistic? the actor and musician who has spoken publicly about his experience with autism and how it has influenced the way that he creates his work. It influences his creative work. These stories so illustrate the incredible potential that people with autism have to offer, and how their unique perspectives can lead to innovative solutions. Can you imagine having an autistic person on your team that helps you have a breakthrough? That is possible. When we focus on the strengths and talents of individuals with autism rather than their limitations, we open up a world of possibilities for them. And it's in this that they find their purpose. But when we try to help them find their purpose by confining them to what we think is normal, it's hard for them to make a meaningful contribution, right? So I remember a powerful moment when I realized that my own experiences were not weaknesses. And I'm not personally diagnosed with autism, but they do say that, parents of autistic kids, a lot of times that there's some autism, there's different levels of autism, and that some of them also may have undiagnosed autism. When I remember a powerful moment when I realized that my own experience with autism was not a weakness, right? And I don't know if it's autism for me, right? So I'm not going to diagnose myself as autistic. But there was a time when I realized that I did not function well in a work environment that was within an office environment. I would get headaches. I would get migraines. The lighting was overwhelming, and I would feel sick to my stomach at the end of the day. And I realized that my mind needed to function. I needed to function but I would function better in a home setting. And even as I speak to you today, I'm sitting here and I have lighting, right, for the camera, but the lights in the office are dim. And my husband often comes home and says, "Why are the lights out?" And, when you realize what your strengths are, right, and what your weaknesses are. My weakness is working in an office environment. I do amazing working from home, in my own space, in quiet. It's this clarity that brought a profound change to the way I approach my life and my work. I realized that in order for me to have that attention to detail, I needed to quiet the noise in my environment. I started to realize that creativity is where my gifts are. And that's what my son is currently realizing. And so I want to share with you that your creativity as an autistic person is where you will find your life's purpose. And as those of us supporting those of them, our children, and the people around us who have autism, we need to focus on their strengths and not their weaknesses. They are already so hyper-focused on their own weaknesses. They know them. They see them. We need to help them see their strengths. It's this realization that I believe, I'm not a doctor, but as a mom, it's this realization, I think, that will spark a new sense of purpose in the lives of most autistic people, that will help them pursue their passions with renewed energy and confidence. It's those moments that will remind them that I remind you, if you're watching and you're autistic, that living with autism is not a limitation, but a unique opportunity to create a life of purpose and meaning. But because, to those of you out there who are supporting those with autism, because they so often get overwhelmed, we have to support them through the process. So as we wrap up this video, I want to leave you with a key takeaway. Living with autism doesn't mean that you're incapable of finding purpose in your life. In fact, it can be a powerful catalyst for creating a life that is authentic, meaningful, and filled with purpose. So, as we walk away today, I want you all to remember that, whether you are autistic and watching or not. Let's focus on the positives and help them through the negatives. So I want to thank you for watching today. And if you have a personal story or experience you'd like to share, please leave it in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more about autism and empowerment, be sure to check out our next video where I dive deeper into the ways in which individuals with autism are shaping their own futures, because they are. And this channel is about positivity. It's not toxic positivity, because I do realize, as the parent of an autistic child, that the struggle is real. But the struggle becomes harder when we isolate them. Okay? So let's not isolate them. Let's give them space to be authentically who they are, because it's in that authenticity that they will find their purpose. Like Dan Aykroyd, right? Can you imagine? I think he played in the Blues Brothers. I used to watch that. I didn't even realize that I hadn't even realized that he was autistic until I started doing the research. So, you never know who's around you. And autism is a spectrum. Okay? So be kind to one another, because you never know what that person sitting next to you might be able to do for you. They are very talented. All right. I will see you in the next video. So please hit that subscribe button and drop me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are today. Peace and love.